There we go. I hope this works this week after the Arsenal game. It came out terrible, but Everton have won 1-0. One of them where, I mean, what you had at the end there was Tom Davis nearly scoring. Melier booting the ball into the crowd. I don't know if there'll be any repercussions for him for that. Bit of a dog of a game, really, but who's arsed? One of the weirdest goals you'll ever see from Seamus Coleman, but it just felt like one of those matches that was always going to be a bit like that. Amadou Onana's just coming around. Looks like he's all right, thankfully. He went down a couple of times with an injury and came off. Listen, it wasn't a great game, but it always felt like Everton were the more likely. Everton were the better team throughout. Pressure, most chances. Not free-flowing football by any means, but it made it really difficult for Leeds, who are absolutely terrible, by the way. They are an awful side. But I think Everton made it really difficult for them, and probably could have won by more in the end, but great to Seamus gets his moments and gets that goal. I'm 99% sure he didn't mean it, but it was a great moment. It's one of those where you're looking at it in the ground thinking, where's that gone? And that just ripples in front of you. 2 wins from 2 for Sean Dyche, 2 at Goodison, 2 1-0s. And we'll take that all day. Fantastic. We'll leave it there. We'll be back in the boozer soon for reflections on that. Eventful game, not a great game, but a really important win for Everton. I'll tell you what, looking at those results as well, a full time there, very important. So, get in. I'll be out back in the Denbigh Castle now. Absolutely chocker with Reds today for some reason, but we've got 3 very happy Blues joining me. May have a few more as it goes on. Not entirely sure who's going to turn up today. We've got Ed, Keith, and Dave. Ed, I'll come to you first, mate. I said just before, dog of a game, but it felt like it was one Everton were always more likely to win in the end.
I think so, and that's a sweet relief for us given this season, the fact we haven't been able to rely on any game whatsoever. I've tried to boil it down because there's so much relief, so much emotion at the moment. I've tried to boil it down to simple terms, and the simple terms are we restricted Leeds to 0 shots on target, to barely any threat whatsoever. We managed the game and we won it. So we can talk about the overall quality, but we won the game, we deserve to win the game. It feels fantastic, and I just hope there's more very soon.
Dave, thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, it was a nervous one, wasn't it? It was as nervous as most games have been when we won one this season. I think there was a little bit more control than I'd like to see from a Dyche side. If he'd have said to me we took 6 points from the first 3 games, regardless of what happens at their place, I'd have absolutely taken it. So I was saying before, wasn't I don't want to go on a bit of a downer straight away because we've gone and won a game there with a really quite funny goal from Seamus to give us the win. But when you look at the results as well, today's game was as must win as you could possibly ask, because even a draw, we'd be in a situation where we didn't have things in our own hands. How did we play? I think it was the type of game that Sean Dyche would relish as in it's a fixture that you need to get properly stuck in, and we had lads there who did. And I think it was quite funny because they're the type of things I think we've questioned about these players for a long time. Are they able to sort of, roll the t-shirt up and get on with it? You know what I mean? And properly fight for this. And I'd be suggesting no for most of the games this season. But from what we've seen against Arsenal and what we've seen against these, minus what happened at Anfield, they're really encouraging Goodison Park performances. And then I've been cautious about thinking really positively about us staying up. But now I've seen these two at Goodison against the top of the league was one of them. a side that's battling us not to go down as the other, and we've got 2 victories, we've got 2 clean sheets. That's the blueprint for staying in the Premier League, I think.
Keith, what about you, mate? Thoughts on that?
I actually thought Everton were quite poor today, to be honest. There were two shockingly bad teams, but we were less shockingly bad than they were. A sort of win that you would call industrial. There was nothing special about the football today, but they ground it out. And, I mean, you can't fault the work rate and effort. That was there from the start. Just the execution is still lacking in a lot of players in this team. And you can still see this. You can see the short of confidence across the board. I think a big problem for Everton at the moment is how readily they lose the ball in midfield. It seems to happen every week where they lose the ball and we're suddenly trying to defend against a counter-attack. And you saw on Monday, obviously, how well we do against the counter. Luckily today, Leeds never had the quality that Liverpool did to put it to the sword, but it's one of those, you take it and move on. And like Dave was saying there, it's all about these home games now. I think we've got something like 6 home games left this season. You can't afford to lose another one of them, really, if we want to stay up. At the very worst, take a point out of them, but it's going to be a big ask still. There's a lot of teams fighting in and around there, and it depends how we kick on from here.
Are you not feeling that relief that a lot of people have been speaking about? Do you still feel quite very pragmatic about all that? It felt like a lot of people in there today were like, thank God that's over, thank God we got the 3 points, and are taking a big sigh of relief. You know, you're still being pretty pragmatic about the whole thing.
I mean, I think I'm at the acceptance stage of the 5 stages of grief. I've made my peace with it internally that it was going to happen. Realistically, if they bulleted Lampard after the Bournemouth debacle in November, there's probably another 3 games that are quite winnable fixtures, and then we'd be comfortably mid-table. I think they've handicapped themselves massively by holding on to him for so long, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want the worst to happen, but I'm not getting ahead of myself, because I know Everton, and I know how they can bite you in the face when you think everything's going well. They know how to bring you back down to earth. So we'll see how they go next week against Villa, and then I might start being a wee bit more positive.
I think that's really interesting points that Keith's made there, and I started to think, as he started speaking about the way the midfield were relatively poor, and there was such a fine margin between the two sides. I'm actually looking at that league, like you've said there, Keith, and thinking it's really lucky that it was Leeds we played tonight, because if we'd have played like that against probably 18 other sides in the league, 3 points don't look so relatively comfortable in inverted commas there. The away issue, that's going to be the main issue for us, and then that puts further pressure on Goodison as well, doesn't it? And why we've looked so poor this season is because just keep mounting games against ourselves that just don't look like they're winnable. I look at the rest of this month. This month's chocker. We go to Forest next after Leeds. After Villa. They've gone and got a home result against Man City. They've been brilliant at home this season. I'm starting to, and it's hard not to get ahead of yourself, like Keith just said there. But I start thinking, take 3 against Villa. We keep staying up in our own hands. Whilst obviously most sides with 16 games left is going to do that anyway. But it's that confidence feeling. However, I think under Sean Dyche, you need to think a little bit differently about these games and the way in which we perform, because he'll have been really content with a lot of that and happy with a lot of that. The way in which the centre-backs played as well, I think there was a lot of pressure on Cody and Tarkowski, albeit not as much, after the derby. And today I thought Cody was really good. I thought the back four was good. I thought Mikalenko started to look like a left back, which he didn't against Liverpool. And then Seamus, I think that most of our fan base will be happier than any other player scoring that goal, really. It's a bizarre goal as well. If you get to see it again, it's quite ridiculous what Meslier does for them. I've no idea. Actually, ironically, almost similar to what Pickford does when Liverpool scored the second, where he just walks out of position. You take any goal you can get in this one, but the other issue as well, I think, if you go a little bit deeper into how we set up, playing Mopé at all, and that was a massive problem in my opinion. Dyche is going to come out and say differently. I think anybody else would say differently from the club itself. I think many of our fans here, I'm not telling anyone what they should think, but Mopé starting as R9 is just not going to work. I don't think he did anything other than what we've seen so far, as in physically throwing himself about and giving away a free kick or two, or trying to win a free kick or two. Then Ellis Sims comes on, and then, the one thing he does, where we should have scored the second, by the way, fantastic on the right-hand side, hoofs the ball forward to Decore, who I thought was probably our worst midfielder today. He should go through and probably score that and put the game to bed. We're not waiting for the last few minutes or whatnot, but you got to take the 3 points where you get them, Matt, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, everyone's being quite calm, Ed. If we're going to get excited on this, do we get excited about Seamus Coleman today? Because, I think we all know that, he's not the player he was, but he's still a good player. He's been through a lot. He's probably doesn't deserve to have been through a lot in the last couple of years, because he's been such a great player for us. And he said he meant that. He said he was trying to shoot from that angle because his hip was so sore that he couldn't get the ball around. But whether he meant it or not, just so delighted for him today.
Oh, amazing. Seamus Van Basten, I tell you. People around me have been calling him a Van Basten for years. I mean, I think that's what they're saying. My hearing's not great, but it sounds like it. I'm delighted for him, and whether he meant it or not, balls in the back of the net. It reminded me very much of, it was Cardiff, wasn't it, under Martinez, where he shanked the ball and it blew into the corner. And obviously he went mental, because it meant everything to him, and it meant everything to us as well. So, look or no look, I'm not going to sit around worrying whether he meant it or not.
Honestly, remembering that game against Cardiff.
It's like 94th minute or something.
The McGeady cross, wasn't it?
It's just comparing trivia now.
What was the attendance that day, Ed?
It was 30. No, I'm not doing that. But it's great, and I think it's very important for us as well that we've got full-backs contributing going forward, and something Coleman's trying to get back into the side now is that rampaging full-back. As much as it's good that Iwobi is coming back to cover, we also need him supported on the right wing, and Mikolenko didn't quite get forward as much. A couple of times he did, but Coleman, whenever he had the opportunity, got forward, and he got his reward for doing so. And I had no idea what Meslier was doing, but luckily he protected against the cross to nobody. So congratulations to him. I'm delighted for Coleman, and we'll take anything we can get with the number of goals we're scoring.
I mean, he acted like a divvy all day, that keeper, so delighted he got made to look like a fool, but yeah, Coleman, he's still a decent player, isn't he? With the last two games at Goodison, Martinelli and Trossard have been up against them. He was up against Gnonto today, who's one of the brightest young players in the league, and he ended up getting shifted over to the right-hand side because Seamus didn't give him an inch, and I think we've said that in these one-off games every now and then, you get him to do a job on a player, he can still do it, can't he?
I think him and Mikolenko both coped very well today. Leeds tried to spread the ball wide quite a few times, and I think both fullbacks did very well. Coleman this season, I can't actually think of many bad games he's had. When he's played, he's been like at least a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 performer. Thought he was great today. The goal, I have no idea how that's gone in, because you look how close that is to whistling against the post. Like, it's mere millimetres from the post. If that has any contact with that front post, it doesn't go in. He's positioned it beautifully. Has he done that on purpose? I don't know. We'll have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, he has. Let's say he has.
But, I mean, he deserved it. And Everton deserved to win today. Don't get me wrong. Out of the two teams, Everton were the much better side, and at least tried to force the issue. Leeds were very I feel Leeds were very long ball today. They resorted a lot to lumping it to Bamford and hoping something would come off. Everton at least tried to play the ball through the channels at times. It wasn't pretty, but at least they were trying to force the issue. Leeds were playing for a point from the kick-off.
You're wasting time early on, weren't you?
Look at that Luke Ayling, by the way, what a grown man with that haircut. Just behave yourself, sunshine. Time wasting on throw-ins after 12 minutes. And you've got to think, it's nice to come out of that with a win and pipe them down after that, because I tell you another thing as well. For all the chat about how good Leeds away following is, they were bloody awful today. They had a wee sing-song for about half an hour, and then they just stopped. And they went,
In their defence, their team gave them nothing to cheer today. Absolutely nothing. And you could see the enthusiasm just waning away, because Leeds had nothing at all. I was really surprised, because
they were the worst team we played this season, I'd say.
We keep getting told they've got this huge array of attacking talents and these exciting players. I'd love to know where they were today, because they sent their Aldi equivalents along. I mean, I thought Harrison was okay in parts and open play.
I mean, his free kicks at the end were ridiculous.
Absolutely terrible. I could not believe it. But once Nonto got sent back to preschool, they really didn't have anything at all.
It's criminal to be as low down in the Premier League as they are without sorting out a new manager in 3 games? Back to back against United. When did Marsh get sacked before that, was it?
Before United, yeah.
Before the 2 Uniteds. So you played 3 games without sorting a manager out. That's the sort of thing you're going to get away at Everton today. It shows you where we are, that we just about scraped through to get the 3 points. Let's not forget that, and you know that needs to be kept front and centre. I'm really anxious to see what Dyche says about that and the performance. Also really interested to see what happened with Onana as well. Because
he was on at the end and he seemed alright walking around.
So it looks like maybe 24, 48 hour when he needs a rest type of thing. Hopefully that's the case, because I still, every time I look to our bench, I do wince a little bit, thinking who's this coming on here for one of these lads that we've started. But it's starting to get into the Everton mood, which is backs against the wall. It's where we're generally at our best in our life, most of our lifetimes anyway. You know, when you exactly, mate, exactly right. And I hate to say it, because I think Joe Royle will feel insulted if you said that to him, that this is now dogs of war. But that is effectively what we're trying to do, isn't it? Trying to keep it compact as possible.
At the moment, it's like puppies of localised conflict.
There's your title right there, man, by the way.
There's not a Joe Parkinson amongst them, is there?
No.
But,
haven't we got to do that, though, really?
We do, yeah. We have to bring teams down to a basic level. We are not going to outplay anyone this season. We're not going to pass any teams off the park. We have to get combative. We have to get scrappy. We have to get physical. We have to make the most of set pieces. One thing I will say about Everton, since Dyche has come in, is they look a lot better at defending set pieces. Not so much attacking them, obviously. We got the goal against Arsenal from one. But certainly defending them. I don't think there's been a set piece that's come in against us where it looked like we were going to concede. And that's a big thing. Out of all the managers we could have got to drag us out of this situation, I think Dyche is he doesn't get the credit he deserves as a tactician, because he might bring the game down to basics, but sometimes that's what you've got to do. Not every team can be a Man City, Barcelona, ticky-tacky, death by 1,000 passes. Sometimes you just got to put hard work in, graft in for 90 minutes, run your bollocks off, put the work in, and reap the benefits.
So just before I bring you in, I totally agree with that. And we've seen in recent weeks against the teams we played, there is a lot of shite in this league, and it feels like if you're competent and you do basic things well, then you're gonna beat most of them and draw against the rest of them. It feels like we're not gonna have to do all that much really to get over the line against some of these really poor sides.
Yeah, entirely possible.
I mean, we are one, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean.
We'll find out soon enough. The 1-0 wins and things like that, they're not good for us. They're not good for our cholesterol. But they're what we will need, and they're what we can do with what we have available. I think that the Dogs of War comparison is probably apt, given what we now need to do in the task ahead of us. One of the things I'd like the players to be taught now, really, is to know when to put their foot through the ball. I don't mean to hoof it, but Anana in particular, he's very cute, especially with his shooting. A lot of, I'll just lean back and side foot this and it'll be fine. That one on the edge of the box, I mean, I'm right behind it and I'm going, of all the occasions where you just need to thump this football, just put your foot straight through it, my friend. So there's a lot to do there, but yes, I think the best thing Dyche can do is do what he's done, is keep it to basics. Protect the penalty area, don't worry about the wings, protect the area, come out as a team, come back as a team. If we get stretched, we're not quick enough to deal with that. So if he can keep it to those sort of simple mantras, and we can work together as a team and just put everything out there, then I really do feel like we can survive and maybe just push a couple of places away as well. It'd be nice. 15th would be lovely. I'd take it all day.
Eyeing up the glory days of mid-table. It's funny, on the car back in, Mark Moses said to me, beat Villa on Saturday, we could go 15th. It's not quite beat Villa, we go top, is it? But
he sacked Martinez to finish in 11th. Honestly,
exactly. We're sat here watching the Liverpool game. We've seen one comedy moment from Nick Pope. Just to wrap it up, does anyone want to talk about the Corey chance at the end today? Oh, Keith does. Yeah.
Good God. I think Chris put it best in the group chat when saying if Leeds had gone on to equalise, he would have Nyarco'd him after the game. I mean, what was he doing? He looked like he was running in quicksand with welder's boots on, and then he's in the box. All he has to do is just put his foot through it, and he tries to do a little Cruyff turn, and he's forgot that he's Abdoulaye Doucouré and not Johan Cruyff. And I mean, to be fair, I'd even take like latter days manager of Barcelona Cruyff over Doucouré in that situation. Just as well it's not come back to haunt us, because my God, I seen somebody say on Twitter it looked like he was running in Teletubby custard. I don't think he knew what his legs were doing, but he saw the goal, he got the rush of blood to the head, and then his body just ceased to function as a human body should. But luckily we got away with it, and as per usual, Leeds have indeed fallen apart again.
We will leave it there, and we have one, Keith, so do you want to do the sign-off today?
Go on, I don't think anyone needs to take solace in their loved ones today.
Not that kind of day.
Nobody needs to go out and touch any grass today. Just enjoy it, because it's going to be a rare feeling for the rest of the season. So make the most of that 3 points. Have a pint, kiss a pretty girl or boy, depending on your persuasion, and just enjoy your evening, Blues. Up in toffees.